now that we've taken care of Wrestling Jesus, let's get on to something much, much better, which was SummerSlam. SummerSlam, I will say I thoroughly enjoyed this show. Thought it was a great show. Probably, I'm sure some people will not agree, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, particularly the opener and the main event. There were really only 2 bad matches on here, which I will get into, but I didn't think that, particularly the last of the bad matches, really didn't hurt the card. I just thought it was stupid. The other match was just kind of there, and I guess you always have a match like that on the card. But it was a good show, and I would recommend getting it, particularly for the main event, because there is stuff in there that must be seen. But let's get started. The show started Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. This was very good to great, depending on how much you liked it. Rey went out there, and this is one of those things where Rey won the match, but it didn't really matter because Dolph went out there, had a good match with Rey. Rey had a good match with Dolph, and so it got Dolph over. Where Dolph was there was dueling chants, Dolph was getting chants, it worked. It got Dolph over. There's a whole thing, and I'll probably talk about that sometime this week coming up, about the WWE finally getting it through their skulls that they haven't made any new stars and that they haven't been able to make new stars, and why is that? But this was a good kind of going out there and trying to do that type of thing. Very good. I give it 3 3/4, not quite 4, but just because I thought it could have gone a little longer, but wow, I was shocked, especially after last month's. Then we had MVP versus Jack Swagger. Before that, MVP and Jack Swagger cut promos against each other. This should have been on Raw. Too bad it wasn't on Raw. This match was going along pretty good, and then it just kind of ended, and it was just kind of strange. So it was okay. Probably could have been better. I don't know why they didn't give him time, but they didn't. So there we go. Then we had the tag title match. Chris Jericho and Big Show versus Cryme Tyme. I'm a big Cryme Tyme fan, as most of you know, but again, they went out there, they kind of put Cryme Tyme over, but not that Cryme Tyme needs to be any more over than they really are. They are pretty much, they're over tag team, and it's one of the things I've always noticed, because people forget that when the WWE kind of, had their big, huge, renaissance with, the Dudleys and the Hardys and Edge and Christian, that the New Age Outlaws often get forgotten because, they were an over tag team. They weren't over for their in-ring or that they were having great matches, but they were over for their, being part of DX and the fact that they were getting the rub from that they were entertaining. It was that sort of over. And so that when WWE finally got tag teams that were good, okay, they were able to feud with a tag team that was, that they could kind of feed off of, in my opinion. And you needed the New Age Outlaws to lead up into, the Dudleys and that sort of thing. And I think Cryme Tyme could be that sort of team, not because I think that they're necessarily great in the ring. I don't think they're bad in the ring, but I definitely think that they're just an entertaining team and they're an entertaining duo, and that they can get themselves over and they can be entertaining and a team that people like to watch. So there you go there. It was a good match. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Then we got Kane versus Khali. This was on the card, for if you don't know, because Mickey and Gail Kim had that horrible match, and because they had that horrible match, WWE threw this on there. Apparently, that's the rumor. I don't know why they just didn't throw this off and just give Christian and Regal, actually time to go out there and have a match. I don't know. I'll get into that in a little bit. This was a bad match. It was probably, and it would have been okay for a big man match if they hadn't started getting on the mat and mat wrestling. I was like, good God, we get rid of this thing. This thing, it was stupid. I don't know why they had it. It wasn't very good. It was just there. I'm probably being generous giving it a star, but oh well. Next we had Degeneration versus Legacy. My only real problem with this match, I thought this could be a great match, but it went a little too long for me. But, DX went out there, Hunter and Sean went out there, and they definitely put over legacy. They definitely made them look like they belonged in the ring with them. I often complain about this, particularly when it comes to Hunter, that the guys get in the ring with him and then he makes it look like, they don't belong in the ring with him. That was not the case with this match. They did a good job of trying to put these guys over. I don't know if it worked, but at least they went out there and they busted their ass to do it. They need to do this more often. Every guy on the roster needs to do this. Unfortunately, they've probably done this 4 years too late. They should have been doing this before. Really, if you want to get technical, this was the type of thing they should have done, even though it was a comedy gimmick with the Spirit Squad, because the Spirit Squad got themselves over and then were punished by making themselves look like fools. That was a team that, yes, that they were silly and it was a comedy gimmick, but it worked for whatever reason. So there you go. Then we got Christian versus William Regal. I'm giving this a negative star, not because I thought the match itself was horrible. It was only 9 seconds. Some people would say you should probably give it a dud, but just for the fact of, from the booking standpoint, that this only got 9 seconds. You definitely could have taken some time. You definitely could have taken Kane and Khali off. You could have taken some time from the DX match. Not that that would have happened. They did that big elaborate intro and all that garbage, which I'm sure their match got cut because of. And also the Randy Orton-John Cena match, which just became a convoluted mess by the end of the show. So there was that. Just complete garbage from that sense. Didn't agree with it. This was a match that could have been at least good on the card, and they basically just said, screw it, we don't care. And then the WWE wonders why no one cares about the ECW title. Good question. Yeah. Okay. Next we had Randy Orton versus John Cena. This was going along like it was going to be pretty good, and then it fell apart. I don't know why they booked this the way they did with the finishes, with disqualifications that didn't end the match, with countouts that didn't end the match. It didn't help that you had a fan run in when it looked like John Cena was going to win. All sorts of craziness. The last half of this match blew. The first half of this match was pretty good. I don't even know what to rate this match. When I got done with it, I was like, how the hell do you rate that? That was just a mess. But, I'm going to give it 2 stars. I don't know what to rate it. It was just there. It went on far too long. I was like, why is this going on so long? That, in my opinion, but the Jeff Hardy CM Punk match didn't need to, I guess, be much longer. But anyways, the main event was awesome. A lot of people will complain that there wasn't enough crazy spots. There was at least one crazy spot. That meant a lot because there wasn't a lot of crazy spots. And the spots that there were good and made you go woo and made you go ow. I was watching it every time that guys would hit with chairs because they were methodical about what they did. They used a little bit of psychology with what they did so that when you saw it, you marked out a little bit for it. And so when Jeff Hardy went up for the last spot, I thought he was going to hit the leg drop off the top of the ladder instead of hitting the swanton, which he hit. They kind of did the Mick Foley, Hell in the Cell thing where, he came back after being hurt, and then the end of the match with the return of The Undertaker, you must be seen. It is one of the most awesome moments. I was marking out. It was cool. It was great. CM Punk sold it wonderfully. I think CM Punk versus Undertaker could be good. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know what CM Punk can do with The Undertaker, but it'll be, it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be a test for him. I'm going to go 4.5. The half actually has to do with the ending of the match and the whole Undertaker part because it is a true mark-out moment, especially for me because I'm a big Undertaker fan. But there you go. I would give this an 8.0. I thought this was a great pay-per-view. Was it one of the best SummerSlams ever? Probably not. But I definitely think that it was definitely, a great pay-per-view. And I would say, get the replay or get the DVD when it comes out. Particularly for the opener and the last match, and there's a lot of good stuff in between as well. So there we go. I really wish they had given the ECW match a little more time. It really bugs me that they don't. But like I said, then they wonder why the ECW match doesn't have any meaning. So there you go. Anyways, with that, I'm out.